Hey there guys, it's your favorite YouTuber who apparently likes to milk Madrid a lot. And you best believe we will continue to milk Madrid on this channel. And day one had some interesting elements to it. But before we get into that, I just want to point out that I'll be keeping track of how regions do against each other, just as like a fun little thing. As we know that EMEA and Pacific were able to get on the board thanks to Corp beating Fun Plus Phoenix in 2 maps, as well as Gen G beating Loud in a 3-map series, where the round differential was closer. Another interesting thing that happened today was that Yoru was only picked twice, and it wasn't by the teams that you thought it would be coming into day one. This is because FPX has played Yoru for about, I want to say slightly over 50%. And Corp has been playing Yoru on about a third of their games as well, but neither of them used them. It was actually Loud and Gen G, where they didn't use Yoru once during the kickoffs. And when they did, they both lost, and each one was for different reasons. I personally think on certain maps, Yoru can be an excellent character to choose, but it requires certain individuals to really use him well, and as well as prep time too. I don't think you can just plug and play him anywhere and expect there to be good results. You kind of have to build a whole comp around him because of his unique playstyle and abilities. And we did see Gen G use some of the benefits and strengths of Yoru in this round where Meteor and Texture were walking down halls, and once they were able to clear the enemy's spawn, that gave Meteor the confidence to TP over the B to help out his teammates and actually get a kill in the process too.
Possibly, but as it stands, this is just scrappy fights. Meteor gonna...
This is just one of the strengths of Yoru, especially on larger maps, to just travel quicker than practically any other agent without the use of an ultimate ability. However, Gen G still lost on Breeze, and I don't think it was because of Yoru, but mainly because there was no Sentinel. This is something that Loud kind of discovered when they were playing no Sentinel on Lotus, where, don't get me wrong, you don't have to have a Sentinel on every map. Small maps like Bind, you can probably get away with it, like how a lot of teams did in Champs 2023, but that was during when Sky was still in the meta and you didn't really have that much problems getting information. Another weird thing was that Meteor wasn't opping too much as Yoru either, mainly because Texture was playing Jet. So it would either be redundant to have both Texture and Meteor opping, or the fact that their money wasn't good enough for both of them to be opping since they were down pretty much throughout this series. Loud did a pretty good job at just working the map. It felt like they were everywhere at once. It kind of reminded me how NRG played against Furia in their first matchup. It was just good mid-round calling and rotations. And even though Meteor didn't really show us the power of Yoru opping, QCK was able to on Ascent.
Well, this is set for his success, right? He is in the place for this if they do continue on this pathing, but there is that question mark middle. That was a very wide peak from Caron to stand
Similar to the last round.
Yeah.
And the only reason why you do see him on Ascent is because a lot of people see him as a superior version of Phoenix, which was a character that Loud was running a lot of. And after the way they got kind of dismantled by evil geniuses, I suppose they felt like they needed to make a change. And Yoru does have dive potential, but honestly, I just miss seeing the Phoenix lineups and mollies. You could tell that QCK hasn't had as much time and prep on Yoru as Phoenix. You kind of have to have a deep bag to bring out the most out of Yoru. People like Tens and Forsaken, they put in a lot of time to make Yoru look good. But you can tell that QCK hasn't been putting in as much time either. Like here, where he's in this kind of sort of off angle, one and done situation. And you can tell he doesn't have a gate crash set up to get out of this position. So when he's able to get one, he can't really safely retreat, which is another aspect that is very strong for Yoru.
Oh, that's how well. A pop flash. He does turn it. So QCK so quick on that. Can't do much more though. Finding one is really valuable considering they already noted that position. They were already...
And I just kind of feel bad for this guy because he kind of get the short end of the stick, asking to play probably one of the most difficult agents to learn and to have a mastery of. And it's in stark contrast to the way he played Phoenix, where he was just busting out Molly lineups left and right. The way they used their wall against Leviathan was pretty nice. So it's just one of those things where just because one agent is better than the other doesn't really mean you have to play that agent, you know? Because at the end of the day, it's just what you're most comfortable with. And it just felt like QCK was probably more comfortable with Phoenix than with Yoru, but they probably just didn't want to get Odin spammed to death like they did against Evil Geniuses. But hey, we still got to give credit to Gen G because they balled out, and Caron came up big for them too. Like, I love this answer from him when asked how he felt about facing the previous world champions.
You feel going up against the former world champions in Loud?
I wasn't playing when they won champs.
Oh! You gotta love that answer. You gotta love that answer.
So you can either take that as him saying like, I don't care, or like they were lucky that I wasn't playing then. Either way, it's Chad behavior and ice code. And he was able to back this up multiple times, especially in map 3, where he had a 414 ACS as an attacker, 20 kills and 5 deaths. He kind of slowed down on the defensive end, and that was mainly because Meteor stepped up and was taking all the kills. It was truly a team effort for Gen G winning this map. And that's just one of the characteristics of Gen G. Like, they just play very standard, strong Valorant. There were a few times where some of them overheat, but it wasn't enough to deny them a win today. On the other hand, Corp won their match, but they did look quite beatable. I'm personally blaming the jerseys. We need to figure out a way to get the all blue ones back. But on a more serious note, it was mainly because Fun plus Phoenix put up a pretty good fight. Icebox was a game of swings where at one moment the scoreline was 7-0 and then the next thing you knew it was 7-all. And even when FPX was down 7-0, it felt like some of those rounds could have been like won by them, you know? It could have easily been at one point in time 3-1 their way. Like, getting onto site wasn't a problem for this Chinese team. It was either their post plants or actually planting the spike once on site that kind of held them back. At the same time, it's still KC. They're a solid team. They just tick all the boxes when it comes to having championship level talent and results. For example, I like this play from Martin where he fired his op shot and he immediately started to run to A as a way to bait them into their stats. You know, it's just like mental warfare in attack FPS. You just love to see it. And we can't forget to mention Narrate, who's been just looking absolutely insane too. He's making a strong case of being the world's best initiator with these stats. There were also times where it looked like Berlin was putting on his Angel cosplay and just inting as Omen. But I guess that's just the price you have to pay when you're playing an aggressive Omen. When it fails, you look like a fool, but when it works, we are rewarded with gems like this bar from Sideshow on Icebox.
They've actually abandoned it very early though, Brent.
I mean, it is he. Surely you collect the kills. Berlin gets 3. It is a slam dunk finish.
I don't want to hear any more about the blue wall. Tell me about the Berlin wall. That's, that's ridiculous. I mean,
Regardless, Lotus felt like it could have gone either way. And it's not over for FPX or Loud. We've seen a lot of teams where they lose their first match or lose early in the tournament and then come back to win it all. They're still guaranteed one more match, and we'll know who they face probably after Heretics versus Sentinels. We also had a couple of aces today.
It's going to be their aim. Tucked to the corner, that's life, avoiding the initial flash across from the ropes. Not accurate enough to win that fight out, but Dismiss in towards the back now. Underneath rafters, plenty more players ready to try and fight him. Target-rich environment. Take your pick, take your time, son, because this is you lighting the world on fire. Live with the ace.
taking control of this second half, and QCK unfortunately just face plants into the bricks. You do favour Gen G.
Okay.
I also want to mention that it came out that Nevera is retiring from Valorant and heading back to Counter-Strike. While Scream has made a post saying that him and K-Corp have agreed to let him like explore his options, but he also said he's not rushing himself. He wants to like find a right fit for him. So he's just going to be grinding and streaming till then. I really hope we can get back to those like Team Liquid good old days when they were seen as like a top team in the world. Regardless, day one of Madrid had its ups and downs. There was a lot of exciting moments. The more I watch Breeze gameplay, the more I realize I just don't want it in the competitive pool. It's stressful to play and the snooze fest to watch, but all the other maps had a lot of exciting moments to them. Tomorrow will be Heretics versus Sentinel, as well as Edward Gaming versus Paper X. Let me know down below who you guys have winning. Till then, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.